So, evaluation question 1. What ways does a media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Okay, so first of all, the title of the film. The title of the film is The Last Viking, and that straight away gives the audience the fact that it's a historical film, as Vikings are historical figures, and also the last, it shows like it gives the audience a sense of struggle and struggle for the Vikings to survive as the last Viking, and also the part that we're talking about the Vikings shows there's an action/war film, as Vikings are known for their great battles.
Okay, now the location and setting. The location was difficult to find out, so the location we chose was real life. We didn't want to use props, so we basically used the natural aspects of the River Thames, you know, with the historical background of the Vikings and the school. Exactly. So we used the River Thames due to its historical side, but also because of the weather, it actually played along with the whole film.
The environment was it was muddy and wet, as we filmed in the marsh part of the river where there was like branches and the trees, and so it looked like it was really based back then.
But that's kind of like the mise-en-scene part of it, is to give it the Viking and historical genre.
Yeah.
You know, using the darkness, the trees, the branches, all that really fit the Viking into the original environment.
Yeah, and the environment which we picked, it was very vast. It was a large environment, and you could see that the Viking was there on his own, showing loneliness and showing that he's the last one, and just that's pretty. I think
on to our costumes and props.
So for the costumes we used to reflect the Viking barbarian sort of attitude and the way they dressed. We used basic clothing, so this was just a sheet over his body with just some trousers which may have looked like they came from Viking times, or could be Viking trousers. We had an animal belt on the belt, this basically reflects the sort of wild attitude of the Vikings, barbaric attitude of them again, and
it's also the point of the blood. The blood also shows just how gruesome that time was.
It shows that there is clearly struggle, and that he is injured, and he's injured, muddy, bloody. So like a typical Viking character. And all the costumes and props we use, the ripped clothing, as you said, the mud on his face, the fake blood, the dead animal. It all shows those in historical times.
It's depicted, characteristic of a Viking.
Okay, yeah. Then, now the camera work and editing was so important in this part. As, for example, in the establishing shot, there's a close-up of the boat, and it creates like mystery, because you don't know what the boat is, what its purpose is, who's on the boat. But also, at the same time, this first shot, it sets the feel and the time of the actual sequence. As over the shot, it comes up, it says 730 AD, showing that it's a historical sequence. And but at the same time, as I said before, it leaves mystery to what's happening, keeps the audience interested in watching, because it's pretty much
sort of keeping your audience on the edge of their seat.
Yes, that's the one. Then there's a close-up of the tree. The next one is
the poor part.
Yeah, the poor part where the Viking put his hand on the tree and there's blood and leaves a bloody hamper on the tree. This is the first point in the sequence that we realize that he's injured, and so this creates mystery on whose blood it is, why is he injured, what happened, and so again it keeps the audience at the edge of their seats, it keeps them watching the whole sequence because they want to find out what happened. But at the same end also, this is the second or third shot now, and it still hasn't shown the Viking in full. So it still leaves slight mystery on what he looks like, what his face is, and all that. So it keeps the audience watching, as well as who he's running from. Then, do you want to do the last shot?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. The last shot is of the Viking lying face down. Now this is significant because it shows that either he has given up or he could possibly be dead. You know, the audience at this point is asking what happened, why is he dead, what's going on? And, you know, it's creating the cold, savage, warlike atmosphere.
Which is kept throughout the whole sequence from the beginning until the end. So yeah, the whole sequence, we filmed and made into a night effect to make it, as I said before, seem dark, cold and warlike. So typical Viking film. Throughout this sequence there's the Viking music. So
yeah, the Viking music is a deep drum roll. It's exciting, it's action-packed, tribal, a little bit tribal. You know, really, I think it really, you know, portrays the movie to be, you know, really the genre that it is.
Then there's a pause, there's a voiceover where our character, the first character, introduces himself, and that goes on through to the last credits, where the music comes back in, and that's the last half of the credits scene.
And then the cut in the music where the voice says, you know, talks about a little bit about what he does and why he's there.
Yeah, title font.
So the title font and style. All the titles in the sequence are shown when the film cuts from shot to black background. This is to try and build a sort of atmospheric, you know, a sort of like, you know, again, I hate to reuse words that you've used them, but to keep the audience on the edge of their seat, sort of.
Yes, and the font that we used white titles, yes, and we had like a thick Viking type of font, so like strong. It's, you know, it gives
for this we looked at like ancient Scandinavian runes and how they would have written back then, just to get an example of, you know, set the scene well.
Apart from there is one which is not on the black screen, and that's the one at the beginning as the boat pulls up, and we have done this so.
Is that the date one?
The date one, yes. We've done this so we can both introduce the first actual like shot of the film, and at the same time set the date and like the environment.
Set the scene.
Set the scene. Yeah. What's happening? Then there's a massive change in like titles at the very end, as the final title, which is The Last Viking, comes in. There's like a
explosion.
Yeah, explosive.
Whilst the person's talking.
Yeah, whilst the person's talking, as the person says The Last Viking, it comes in. There's an explosive like flare, and the font comes in. This time it's not white anymore against the simple black background.
I think that really shows off our editing skills.
Yeah, and there's a red font, which is significantly different to the other font. It gives it that action feel. Also, there's the gore, the blood, the explosions, so the action. It all ties up with the whole sequence, really.
Yeah.
Story.
So the story and how the opening sets up, as we've discussed, there's the title which says 730 AD, immediately when the boat first comes in. This sort of sets the scene, sets the era, it tells the audience that it's going to be a film about that time, and most famously in that time was the first Viking raids on England, or the last, sorry. And so this sort of makes you think it's going to be Viking related, as the title suggests, and yeah, it's
Yeah. Anyway, on to the genre now and how the opening suggests it. Quite similar to the previous article, but the opening starts with the close-up of the boat, as I said before. There is feet running through the puddles. And so with the action of them running, quick shot cuts, the increase in music as the sequence goes on, like it gives it the action Viking genre, like straight from the start, straight into the action part. with the character like wearing, the ripped clothing, the dead animal in his waist, it creates the savage, cold action genre, which we were aiming for. Especially at the part when we see that the character's wounded, so now we get the feeling that he's running away from someone because something's happened, but we don't know yet, and so creating a chase. So setting up the genre of the full sequence straight from the beginning and keeping it stable throughout the sequence.
It's continuous
thread sequence.
How characters are introduced. Our main character is introduced bit by bit to try and create a suspense. This suspense is ideal and very important in the welfare and the how accurate our sequence is. First of all, it shoots his feet running through a puddle of water with a splash of the water onto the lens. This shows like an element of despair, and it makes the audience think, why is he running? And then later on, it goes on to one of the other shots, whereby it's a shot of him running towards the camera, and you can see at this point, the blood on his face, the sheer terror in his eyes.
And then what's important about the sequence is that we're taking shots after shots, small shots of different parts of his body, to show and eventually towards the end where he's fully introduced, where he speaks and he's lying down, face down, dead. But throughout the whole sequence, it's kind of like a whole sequence is an introduction to our main character.
So the special effects we used, we filmed it in the day, which meant that we could add special effects easily, because when you're filming at night, obviously there's trouble, as in you don't know, there could be hazards, especially when we're filming by a river. And so the advantages of filming in the day, well, we were able to add a night filter and emphasize the red, both of which we would not have been able to do if it was filmed at night.
The night filter created the extra feel that we wanted of the cold and the darkness, as I said before. Then obviously the cuts we had between the scenes that picked up the pace of the film, and so making it more explosive and action-like. And then finally at the end, as he says, the last fight, the massive explosion as the title fades inwards, that really emphasizes that this is the start of the whole sequence, and brings the audience back into play and shows the action and the horror and everything put together through special effects. Thank you very much. That was our question 1 evaluation.